Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Curse of Oak Island preview. The team is set to finally learn what's at the bottom of the garden shaft. The Curse of Oak Island sees the team finally reach the bottom of the garden shaft, and Rick Lagina leads an expedition to explore Templar Knights caves in Italy. This week, the Dumas Mining Company will finally reach the bottom of the garden shaft at about 82 feet. The guys have been waiting impatiently for this moment, and they'll be hoping for a major breakthrough in the coming days. The Dumas team has been restoring the old timbers to rehabilitate the shaft. The guys had initially thought the shaft was a 19th century searcher shaft, but carbon-14 dating revealed it could be much older and may be the work of the original treasure depositors. So far, they've not uncovered any hidden treasure or secret offset chambers, but they are still picking up a lot of gold and silver signatures in the wood. These not insignificant levels of precious metals were enough to make Oak Island historian Charles Barkhouse declare in a preview that the garden shaft is where the real money pit could be. It seems as though Dumas won't be taking a break and will continue to dig down and perhaps outwards too. It's completely uncharted territory. Marty Lagina summed up the team's situation with a Star Trek reference, stating, "So, we're about to boldly go where no one's gone before." Oak Island team explores Templar caves in Italy. Meanwhile, Rick Lagina and a few of the other guys will be arriving in Italy, where they'll meet up with Oak Island theorist Corjan Moll and researcher Emiliano Sacchetti. Corjan and Emiliano have long studied the links between the medieval order of the Templar Knights and Oak Island. The Oak Island guys will explore the extensive cave system beneath the town of Camerano, near Osimo, on the Adriatic coast, caves long associated with the Templar Knights. Last week, Emiliano showed the guys a map of the caves, which appeared to show an underground chamber in the exact shape of the 14th century lead cross. And tonight, viewers can expect the team to find a compelling connection between these Italian caves and Nolan's Cross. This is bound to add fuel to the theory that Templar Knights traveled to Oak Island in the 14th century to bury ancient Christian relics and treasures. The History Channel episode synopsis helps confirm all of the above, reading, "The North Atlantic winter is quickly approaching, but the stars are aligning for the Fellowship of the Dig when the swamp reveals more of its secrets and a trip to Italy provides a shocking new insight into Nolan's Cross." Season 10 of The Curse of Oak Island is coming to a close. The team has now started making repeated references to the weather closing in. This means the season only has a few more episodes left. The harsh Canadian winter makes work on the island extremely difficult beyond a certain point, and as the guys rapidly approach that point, they'll be hoping for some kind of a breakthrough. Fingers crossed, folks. The History Channel is expected to air 25 episodes this season, meaning there are another 3 episodes after tonight, with the finale airing on May 16. As dawn broke over the windswept island, the team of intrepid treasure hunters gathered around the garden shaft, a mysterious old structure that had puzzled them for years. The air was thick with tension, charged with the anticipation of finally discovering what lay at the bottom of this enigmatic shaft, a place they had spent countless hours theorizing about, excavating, and exploring. For the Lagina brothers and their devoted crew, this moment was more than just the culmination of another season's hard work. It was the potential answer to a question that had haunted Oak Island for centuries. What lies beneath? The garden shaft had long been one of Oak Island's most elusive mysteries, overshadowed only by the infamous money pit. Some of the crew believed it was merely an old well or an early mine dug by previous treasure hunters, but others, fueled by the endless legends that Oak Island had bred, suspected that the garden shaft might hold clues, or even treasures, that could finally crack the island's enduring puzzle wide open. Marty and Rick Lagina, driven by a relentless curiosity and a firm belief in the possibility of a historic discovery, had spared no expense in bringing the latest technology to bear on the garden shaft, determined to leave no stone unturned. As the team prepared to descend, they reviewed the treasure trove of information they'd gathered over the last season. Ground-penetrating radar had revealed some unusual anomalies deep within the earth below the shaft, suggesting the presence of chambers or tunnels. Dendrochronology testing on the wooden beams found near the entrance had suggested that the structure was much older than they'd originally thought, perhaps even dating back to the 1600s. Every piece of evidence seemed to point towards something extraordinary buried beneath their feet, a tantalizing hint that the garden shaft held more than just dirt and rubble. With the safety gear secured, the cameras rolling, and everyone poised for what could be their most significant discovery yet, Marty gave the signal to begin the descent. The cage slowly lowered into the darkness, taking with it Craig Tester, who had volunteered to be the first one down. As the dim light from above faded, Craig focused his flashlight on the walls of the shaft, studying the worn stones that had witnessed centuries of mystery. He could hear the crackle of the radio as the crew above monitored his progress. Every foot he descended brought him closer to whatever secret the shaft held, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental awaited him. Then there was a metallic clang, a sound that echoed up through the shaft and sent a ripple of excitement through the team above. Craig's voice crackled over the radio. "I've hit something solid. Definitely not natural rock." He moved the light closer and discovered a large iron plate embedded in the ground, covered with centuries of grime and rust. He could see strange markings etched into the metal, symbols that looked almost like runes, but with an unfamiliar twist. "Looks like we've found a hidden chamber," Craig continued, the thrill evident in his voice. "I'm going to try and pry this open." As Craig began to work at the edges of the plate, the rest of the crew speculated wildly. Could this be part of a trap, designed to protect whatever lay beneath from intruders? Or was it perhaps a clue left by the original builders, a sign that they were getting close to something significant? Even Marty, who was often the more skeptical of the two brothers, felt a surge of hope. The stories they'd chased, the secrets they'd pursued, all seemed to be converging on this one spot, here in the depths of the garden shaft. After what felt like an eternity, the plate gave way, revealing a narrow tunnel that seemed to lead even deeper underground. Craig squeezed through, his flashlight piercing the darkness ahead. He could see that the tunnel walls were lined with strange carvings, symbols that looked like a mix of ancient scripts. He had studied many theories over the years: Templar symbols, pirate marks, Masonic codes, but this was something entirely different. He took pictures, knowing the historians and cryptographers would have a field day with these finds. The tunnel eventually opened up into a small chamber, barely large enough for a person to stand in. At its center stood an ancient-looking chest, covered in layers of dust and cobwebs. Craig reached out to touch it, half expecting it to disintegrate under his fingers. But the chest was solid, its iron fittings intact. He ran his hand along the surface, feeling the craftsmanship and the age in every splinter and bolt. With trembling hands he lifted the lid, and as he did, a gasp escaped his lips. Inside there was no gold, no jewels, but something far more unexpected. A stack of parchment scrolls, bound with a faded ribbon. He lifted one carefully, his fingers tingling with anticipation as he unrolled it. The language was foreign, a script he couldn't immediately recognize, but the drawings were unmistakable. Maps of Oak Island, intricate diagrams showing hidden tunnels and secret chambers that spread out beneath the island like the roots of an ancient tree. Craig's mind raced as he tried to process what he was seeing. These weren't just maps. They were instructions, plans left by whoever had come before them. He radioed the team above, his voice barely containing his excitement. "You guys need to get down here. This changes everything." One by one, the rest of the team descended, crowding into the cramped chamber to catch a glimpse of the treasure they had uncovered. The Lagina brothers pored over the maps, their minds reeling with possibilities. This discovery was not just a breakthrough, it was a revelation, a glimpse into the minds of those who had once called Oak Island their secret. And while the chest had held no gold, what it did contain was far more valuable, a roadmap to the heart of Oak Island's mysteries. As they stood in the chamber, surrounded by the weight of history, they knew their journey was far from over. The garden shaft had finally yielded its secrets, but these newfound maps hinted at even greater discoveries waiting to be unearthed.